Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. This is the McDermott Report, broadcasting live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, midnight GMT. Weeknights, Monday through Thursday. Then Friday, of course, we have our big show, Google Plus Week, where we look at the world's newest social network. Tonight, we're talking about the news of the day, and the big news is about the president's rescheduled, not rescheduled speech to a joint session of Congress to talk about his plan to get more jobs in America and improve the economy. If you'd like to call, please do so. Our number is 818-688-6625. I'm also in the Justin.tv chat room, where I'll be occasionally chatting, although normally I have a co-host, but she had to go, so I'm running solo tonight. All right, so I'm going to give a rundown of what happened with the president's speech. He wrote a very nice letter to Speaker John Boehner requesting that he be allowed to address a joint session of Congress September 7th, and that is the same night that NBC and Politico are sponsoring a live debate by the Republican presidential candidates that will be broadcast live on MSNBC and, of course, covered by NBC News. And then Speaker Boehner responded with a very nice letter back to the president suggesting that that was a bad time. He didn't mention the Republican debate, but he did mention that they have a session of Congress and important work that must go on that will not end until 6:30 p.m. on the 7th, and that it normally takes 3 hours or more to do the security sweep that's required for a presidential visit to a joint session. So it's a bad night, and would September 8th be better? Well, September 8th is the beginning of the NFL season, and a lot of folks might be more interested in that game with the defending Super Bowl champs playing football than the president's speech. So then the president had the briefing took place with Jay Carney, who suggested that they could reschedule the Republican debate that's being held at the Reagan Presidential Library. Someone asked if that would offend Nancy Reagan. He said he didn't think so. And anyway, that's where we stand. Scott, I see, is in the Justin.tv chat room. If you'd like to call, Scott, I could use a caller if you want to chat. You can talk to me about the AT&T thing if you want. I don't know if you're up on the news stuff or not. But anyway, so that's really interesting. We'll see. That it's I guess, funny in a way to see the speaker and the president writing these very nice, warm, fuzzy letters to each other. But they are very polite. But they don't want to have the speech at the same time that the president, the Republican candidates are supposed to be having their debate. And I guess there may be some truth to the thing about the security sweep. And so the president's spokesman Jay Carney said that they could perhaps reschedule it. And then he made some. It was pretty funny in the hearing room. He said he suggested that there are any number of things on television that night, that it wasn't geared specifically to counter the Republican debate. That there's, he said that the people could be watching a wildlife channel or a Food Network, and then one of the reporters asked if he was equating the Republican debate with those things, and he said, well, perhaps the wildlife channel, but he was joking. It was all in good fun, and so we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen. Also in the news, oops, let me see. He's trying to call here. Let me see, 818-688-6625. Should let you in, Scott. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm in, and it's going out live, and I don't think there's a max of 50 people who can listen without joining the queue, and I would be very doubtful if we reach that. So I don't know if there's a tech problem. I can try calling myself. Another thing that's interesting is that WikiLeaks has released a file, and they won't say what it is. They just say stay tuned. So I'm going to check that. They tweeted. I'm going to check to get the latest on this, but it's an encrypted file, and you can't see what it is without, of course, without the password. And they haven't, I don't know how many folks I'm looking here to see what they've said, and they released it, and it's a secret. Maybe it's another insurance file. They did that once before. Okay, here we go. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
Hey. All right. How are you, Dan?
Good. All right. You got the audio down now, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. There was a little delay there. So anyway, Scott, I don't know if you followed the debate thing, the president's speech thing at all. If not, I'm going to talk about the AT&T thing. See what you think.
Yeah, AT&T.
Okay. I guess the AT&T, T-Mobile, I don't know who. Someone's calling it AT&T and T. But they announced that. So just a brief rundown. They want to merge with T-Mobile. Now, Verizon is the number one U.S. mobile network, and followed by AT&T, followed in distant third place by Sprint. And then T-Mobile is the smallest, and they're owned by, I think, Deutschland Communications, a German company. And so the deal was AT&T wanted to buy T-Mobile. They said that the purpose of this was so that they could fill out their network because there's limited spectrum, and T-Mobile owns a bunch in some rural areas, and that this would be better for everyone. And then their latest salvo in the argument is that they would add 5,000 jobs to the economy by merging. The Federal Communications Commission, which is the chairman and a Democrat member have said that they have serious concerns about competitiveness, because now you're taking the second and fourth place networks, combining them to create a new first network, and you're taking away a low-cost carrier to join with AT&T, which is I have Sprint, and I looked at AT&T, and I can tell you that AT&T is a lot more expensive than Sprint, so Sprint freaked out, didn't want this to happen, and now the Obama administration is suing to stop it under antitrust claims. And whether this is a genuine, ain't going to happen, we're going to sue to stop it, or if this is a negotiating, if it's a lawsuit brought to extract terms and conditions under which the merger can go through, AT&T will definitely fight to go through with it, because they made a deal with T-Mobile that they would pay $3 billion, which is a little less than 10% of the purchase price, if the deal fell through. And they got that deal, T-Mobile did, because they agreed to not pursue other merger or purchase deals while waiting for the regulatory approval for AT&T's deal. So that's kind of where we stand. And Scott, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I've been following this for a while, since the rumors first came out that AT&T was wanting to buy T-Mobile. And I use T-Mobile. I've been using them since late 2008. I'd switched from Verizon, and I liked pretty much everything. Here in Austin, T-Mobile treated me better, and I say that because from what I've gathered, in any given city, you're going to get different coverage and even potentially different customer service. But for one thing, I think you mentioned that pricing is definitely lower. I don't know if you did mention it or not, but I found that T-Mobile and, from what I hear, Sprint are the lower priced ones, while AT&T and Verizon are higher priced. Now, as far as the merger goes, I've been against it for a few reasons. Number one, I do believe that there's more competition if we've got the 4 biggies instead of 3 biggies. And I would not like to see AT&T, which is known for higher prices and lower customer service, and lower service overall. I would not like to see them grow. And I'm happy to hear that various government agencies are probably going to shoot the deal down.
Tell me, what's your experience with them, with T-Mobile, as far as I assume you've had conversations with friends who use AT&T, Sprint, Verizon. I use Sprint. mainly because they have a better signal quality. Where our studio here is right next to a state park, and it's a real rural area, and they happen to own the antenna nearby. So I use Sprint. And also, I guess a lot of people are flocking to Sprint because they're better if you want unlimited data, or they're the only option there. Why do you choose T-Mobile? I mean, is it a price issue or other things or coverage? And how do you compare them to others from the conversations you've had?
Okay, I nerd out on phones. So I research pretty much every day. I mean, if you've got your various websites that you go to daily to look at things, phone sites are the ones that I go to every single day and I have a list that I keep updated on what phones are coming out under what providers and what features, etc. So I do know a bit about this, and I do ask my friends, what's going on with them and their phones and so forth. And but as far as in Austin, T-Mobile is great. I've been very happy with the coverage. I know that when you leave Austin and you start moving between cities, from what I've heard, it is not the best. And I would, while I don't do a whole lot of traveling, I would be happy to switch to Sprint. Sprint and T-Mobile are the only options for me right now, and not just because of the things I've said so far, but also T-Mobile has been, up until now, they've been the closest with Google on phones. Like the very first, the G1, the first Android phone was available only on T-Mobile, and then the Nexus one was available only on T-Mobile. Now you could get it to work on AT&T, but it really was meant for T-Mobile. And then even the next Nexus that came out a year later, at the end of 2010, was also made for T-Mobile. So they seem to have a little bit of a tighter tie-in with Google, a tighter relationship with Google. Now I know that's changing, and I don't really care a whole lot, but up until now it has been nice, just given the phones that I've had and so forth. What else? T-Mobile, they have unlimited data. I've had an unlimited data plan forever, ever since I've had my very first Android phone. From what I gather right now, they're about equal to Sprint as far as what they offer and the prices.
What's your monthly bill? Or what's the basic plan? And without there's insurance you usually get. Like I pay $9 or $11 a month for insurance, and then but the basic, I think it's $99, and then there's a $10 fee for data, which Sprint started. So it's $109 plus the taxes and fees. What's the base plan with data and unlimited texting and phone calls?
I don't know what the base plan is. I've got about 900 minutes, and then everything else unlimited, and I'm paying somewhere around $90 a month.
Yeah, that's
maybe
not bad.
$85, somewhere in that range.
That's
I've
cheap.
actually heard that T-Mobile is the lowest, a little bit lower than Sprint, but I think that if you balance everything out, they probably are about equal.
Okay, that's great. So
Did I just contradict myself?
No, that's okay. That's what we do here. We can switch positions and argue that it's great for America to have all these big corporations combined, and how the consumer will benefit with less choices and with the affordable option being swallowed up by the grandmother of all monopolies in the United States, AT&T. But I don't think I'm in the mood to argue that point. But go ahead. I'm sorry, Scott.
Well, no, I interrupted you. I just did want to make sure before we moved on to a different topic, if we are, that I mentioned that I would just like to give a bit of a warning about Verizon. I'm a little bit biased against Verizon. Mainly the things I've been reading lately, they've so far a couple years in a row. See, there's a phone for Android that comes out once a year called the Nexus, and it's Google's chance or attempt to put out the very best current/future technology in a phone. And the very first Nexus, I still have it. They called it the developer phone, and it was available only on T-Mobile. And from what I'm hearing, and then the next one that came out was the Nexus S, and then now there's a new one coming out this winter. And each time from what I've heard, Verizon has been offered that they could have the phone, and that they've turned it down because the thing with the Nexus is it doesn't have any restrictions on it, as far as no extra software, and that you can do more things with it, like say tether. You know what that means?
Yes.
You know what tethering? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. For folks who don't,
So
that means you use your phone as an internet access point. In fact, Daniel Buey in Vancouver does that. I don't think he even has a regular internet connection. He just has really good internet through his Android phone, and like I guess any Android phone or just some of them can. I think I can have up to I don't know 4 or 5 different computers, and this becomes a Wi-Fi hotspot. And it's Bluetooth or whatever, or I don't know how it works, but it's one option. Here I don't use that. I shoot it out. I have Comcast Business Class, and we have like 6 megabytes up, which I could never get on a wireless phone, on a phone. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. Tethering, Daniel's saving me here. Tethering is with a cable, as opposed to being a hotspot wirelessly.
Wireless or cable. Either way.
Buey, you should call. You're sitting here. I'm trying to. He's going to call. I'm going to embarrass him if he doesn't call. I'm going to put an embarrassing photograph of him on the program. But you can tether, or you do tether?
Yeah, I don't really use it a whole lot. I just know, and you can do it on Verizon. It's just they charge you more, etc. Some other restrictions. I've got it in my phone list that I put out that more and more people are following. That Verizon supports simultaneous voice and data, but only if you have a 4G capable phone, which not all their phones are 4G capable. In fact, they've been kind of slow getting that up. Just pretty much everybody has, except for Sprint and T-Mobile. And then what else? They on Verizon, their phones replace Google Search with Bing Search. So it's like you've got a Google phone, an Android phone, yet the default search, and you have to jump through some hoops to get it to use Google Search on any Verizon phone. And then they've just added another thing, which is if you want to use FTP from your phone, which only the most nerdy of nerds would probably do, they are now adding a $6 a month charge. My experience with Verizon and all the articles that I read daily, I would just warn people to stay away from Verizon.
For what reason?
Well, all those restrictions that I've just mentioned, plus that they're the highest priced of the 4 big U.S. phone companies.
Okay. All right. So we're trying to get Buey. I'm going to set up his shot here. We're going to get. I'm going to set up a shot. I'm sorry. This is what happened was Emily is gone. Had to go pick somebody up and at the hospital, and we knew that was coming, but it happened a little earlier than we were expecting. I think it's Booey, right? Let's see here. All right, he's. All right, I promise I get a picture of him up. So there's Buey. Buey's going to be calling us pretty shortly from Vancouver, where he is hanging out, and with his tethered phone. His whole phone system is. I think his whole house is run, like multiple computers and everything off of his Android device. So okay, cool. All right, let me ask you something else, Scott. There was a bit of a to-do about Google running an ad. Let me look at this. This is from Reuters. They ran an ad, touts a daily deal on their homepage. Again, from Reuters, they said they promoted it's like a Groupon-like daily deals on Wednesday for the first time, a rare instance of them using its prized online real estate for advertising. The main Google page is just straight up that. It just says Google and has a search and a few other options and then more. But they've always kept it really clean. I think it's interesting that this will be news. I mean, you go to any other site, and like Huffington Post, I blog on there sometimes, and there's like 12,000 ads on their front page. And a lot of folks, when they watch this, they have to sit through an ad. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? If they can monetize it and push their product, it's transparent, right?
So are people being upset? I didn't hear about this. Are people upset about?
It was just
Google
noteworthy.
putting an ad?
It was noteworthy because, of course, the feds are always investigating everybody for, and there were complaints that they were abusing their quote unquote monopoly position. Of course, they're not a monopoly, as you pointed out. You can use Bing, or you can use Yahoo Search, but I mean, most people don't use those because they're not as good, and so they're acting like it's some crime for Google because it has a popular search engine to be able to promote its products in search. And some were alleging that they were unfairly making them appear in generic search results higher up than others, but I don't know, I haven't seen any proof of that happening. But I just thought it was interesting. I mean, it's like folks, Google's selling out or something, but I mean, they're a company designed to make a profit. So I don't think there's any, I don't guess anybody should care about this.
Yeah, I see it the same way I see 10 years ago everybody jumping all over Microsoft. It seems like Google's the big, powerful company that people are afraid of, and so they're looking for reasons to shoot them down. I'm a little bit biased towards the company, so I'll admit that.
I think we got Buey on. Let me see. Buey.
Okay.
Yes?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. Do you think? Do you think there's anything wrong with Google putting an ad on its front page?
What front page? The front page of the Google
of
search
Google,
thing?
Just straight up Google.com. They put one of their daily deals for the first time. Yeah. What do you think?
That?
Yeah.
Let me look. Hold on. Oh my God. I'm gonna get you.
Don't cuss. You can't cuss. He told me. I said if you don't call, I'm gonna put an embarrassing picture up, and he said, "Do it. I dare you." In chat. So do you know who that is, Buey?
Yeah, it could be anyone.
No, it's Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, conqueror of much of the known world at the time, and so I thought that was an apt comparison.
I've seen a lot of pictures of him, and that's a different picture of him. I've seen many different. Okay, wait a second.
Your
no ad.
Your connection is bad. I don't see it either. I guess they took it down. It was up earlier. So what else is going on?
Okay.
What's going on in Vancouver tech-wise?
I don't know. Nothing.
Or news-wise? Anything? I mean, there's a scandal. Oh, you're Canadian. There was a bit of a scandal here because the Secretary of Labor in the United States bought a Chevrolet car, and it's made in Canada. And they're making a thing out of that. It's assembled in Canada by Canadians, presumably. And is there anything wrong with that? You're in Canada. You guys do a good job, right?
I don't want to say what the problem is.
Should the
I'm
U.S.
not a car guy either, so I don't know.
Should the labor secretary, who is supposed to be looking out for U.S. laborers?
Oh, I get it. Oh no.
Yeah.
Man.
It would be like the main Canadian, like a minister for labor relations, or they should buy a Canadian car, right? If they bought a U.S. made car, there might be a bit of an issue in Canada.
Did he know it was from Canada, or did he?
I don't know if she actually. Either she screwed up or she didn't do her homework. I don't know. I feel bad for her.
I feel bad for her too. She probably feels stupid.
They make it. You guys do a good job building cars. What do you think about that, Scott? Do you think that's should the U.S. Labor Secretary be driving a car that wasn't built by Americans?
I would. I think that's nobody. I wouldn't care myself about that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't care
either. I wouldn't care. I mean, we're a global economy now. I'm guessing it was a screw up. But are you any of your friends? Apparently, WikiLeaks, Buey. Apparently, WikiLeaks has released a mystery file. According to the French news service, WikiLeaks released an encrypted file. Boy, that's. I'm going to mute Buey for a moment while I ask him this question because I'm getting a lot of background noise there. It's a 571 megabyte file, cannot be opened without a decryption key, and this is similar to in July when they released their insurance file. That if something happened to Julian Assange, that they would release the key for this insurance file, and that people all over the world would have a copy of it, and they would be able to. Apparently, it had a bunch of incriminating, damning stuff. Now, they've been subject to some hacks of late, last couple days, apparently. And so, I don't know. I'm guessing that some of Buey's friends are busy trying to hack that. What are your thoughts, Buey, what are your thoughts on the whole WikiLeaks thing? Do you think, what do you think about that, Buey?
How's my mic now, by the way?
I'm sorry, say again.
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Can you hear me? I changed the mic, so I don't know if do I sound better?
Yep, go ahead. What do you think of WikiLeaks?
I don't know. I don't really follow it, so I can't really give my opinion on it.
Scott, what do you think, Scott?
Yeah, it's really interesting to me. What I'm seeing happening is a shift all over the place in privacy, in the idea of privacy, in what it means, in how we as individuals view privacy. An example, like on Facebook. Facebook has risen to be a very popular, useful tool, and I've noticed, in my friend groups, which run anywhere from in their 20s to in their 40s, massive use of Facebook for many purposes. It's like in invitations to parties, or just casual conversation and everything in between. And the idea, like the things that people are willing to share, the amounts that people are sharing, the depth. And yeah, sure, people could say, oh, it's narcissistic or this or that. I like to think that that a shift is happening where people are wanting to not necessarily share more. Well, for sure that's happening, but I'm even thinking hide less. I'm thinking of the benefits of increased sharing in our culture and cultures worldwide. And it's hitting us from all directions, and sure, technology is a huge part of that. And okay, so then I've strayed from your question, which is what do I think of WikiLeaks? And while but first I do want to say I'm coming from a place of when somebody would post something on my wall that I considered to be just, hey, why didn't they send me a private message? I used to get upset about things like that, and then I thought to myself, you know what, this might just be a trend, and maybe it's something I can adapt to, and maybe I should ask myself, do I really care, and why do I care? What am I hiding? What do I have to hide? And what ego issue do I have to care that somebody posted on my wall? Okay, so then, I've decided to adapt to things like that. And if we look at WikiLeaks, it's the same and it's different, because we can look at the way this may or may not have damaged relationships between countries. So I'm a little bit torn on that issue. So there's the negative side, the potential negative side, but then the potential positive is all of the all the positives that we can see in openness and honesty and integrity. So that's my opinion on that.
Buey, what do you think about the whole notion of when WikiLeaks gets this stuff and they release it, the governments get upset because it's privileged information. Say something, Buey.
Yo.
Okay, that kills it
Hello?
for a couple. Yeah, when you say something, that kills it for a couple seconds. The attenuator doesn't kick in. What do you think about the whole notion? Is WikiLeaks as an organization publishing secrets any different from the New York Times when they get a leaked document publishing it? It's still an organization, releasing information to the public. I'm not sure there's a difference. Do you think there is?
Well, if it's private information and it's not meant for the public, I'd be pretty pissed off. I mean, if someone shared some of my secrets, I'd be pretty pissed off. So,
what do you think, Scott? Do you think there's a difference between the New York Times publishing the Pentagon Papers and WikiLeaks publishing something? They're both independent organizations that they didn't steal the information themselves. Whoever did that, would get in trouble. The soldier who's alleged to have done this, but they received it and they said they didn't even know who sent it, and they just released it, just like the Pentagon Papers were printed by a newspaper in the United States. I'm trying to find the difference, except one's a website and one's a newspaper that has a website. Do you see a difference practically?
Are they allowed to release government information if it's like top secret? Are they allowed to do that?
Yes. And, in the United States, prior censorship or prior restraint is specifically prohibited in the U.S. Constitution. In other words, they can't stop a newspaper or media organization. Of course, when they wrote this stuff, it was basically newspapers, right? Because TV and radio didn't exist, the web didn't exist. But they can't prevent you from publishing it. Now, it's not illegal. We have an absolute First Amendment. It's the very First Amendment to our Constitution that says that freedom of speech shall not be infringed. I'm going to mute Buey real quick. That freedom of speech shall not be infringed, and so they can't prosecute you for publishing something if it's a secret. They can't prevent you from doing it either. What they can do is they can go after whoever leaked it to you. If it's a government employee who took the secret, say had a secret clearance, and there's a soldier who's charged with this, that he had a security clearance, that he had access to the information, he violated the law by providing it to WikiLeaks. If he did, they can prosecute that person. Also, they can haul a reporter before a judge and say, who gave you this information? And if the reporter refuses to divulge the source, then the reporter can be jailed and to try to get them to give up their source. But they can't be jailed indefinitely. The way the judges have ruled is that once it's clear, after a period of time, that the reporter is not going to reveal the source, then they have to let the reporter out, because they can't just indefinitely incarcerate you. The only point is to coerce the reporter into giving up the source. So, but I cannot figure out. I'm trying to figure someone who can some difference between the Washington Post or the New York Times and WikiLeaks and what they're doing, because they're not stealing the information. Scott, I mean, help me here. Can you think of any difference? Because everyone's freaked out about WikiLeaks, but I think it's the same thing.
Okay, well, I'm an idealist as far as this is concerned, and I actually love the idea of, for the most part, what they're doing. Sure, there's some effects, some negative effects happening, yet to me, it really is about honesty. And if they're exposing lies, if they're exposing things that were hidden, then I'm all for it. And yeah, somebody here in the chat room mentioned the difference is that the Times and the Times censors their material. Okay, so there's a difference. Which
hold on though. He's saying, let me stop. I'm trying to get this person to elaborate. They said the Times was censored or censored themselves, because I'm trying to get it. I don't believe that they were censored. They may have censored themselves if they chose to, but
that they have bias. And I mean, at least my opinion is that every paper is going to have some kind of bias. So, and I guess somebody could argue that WikiLeaks does, although my opinion there is that WikiLeaks would have less bias. Who could really know? But I'm with you as far as, in most ways, I don't think they're any different. They should not be treated differently.
Yeah, I think they're the same thing. I think and a lot of this information was helpful to some of these Arab revolutions. And I mean, some of the stuff is fascinating, obviously embarrassing. So, Buey, I'll bring you back in a sec, but we'll give you another test on your mic. It's fine when you're speaking, Daniel. It's just when you're not speaking, it slowly amplifies the rest of the room. I'm trying to see what they're saying because WikiLeaks has shown self-restraint, and they have held some stuff back. They've removed some of the source names if they weren't really relevant to the story, and they were protecting the safety. You know, they were showing some restraint, and they even released it to The Guardian and the New York Times, and initially, or The Guardian sent it to the Times, and some other media outlets that they deemed friendly or whatever, so that they could cull through first, and then everyone agreed on certain dates that they would release stuff. But they sent it to mainstream media outlets to cull through before they just released it. So they've shown some self-censorship. Which is fine. There's nothing against that. But for the government to censor you, that's a big deal. And the tests for that are extraordinary. For for political speech or for news type speech, it's very difficult to censor anything. I can't think of an example. But if this person in the chat room could elaborate, I'm looking for a link, or if you could explain what you're saying. Okay, Buey, let's bring him. Let's see if we can get him in here. Buey.
Moo, 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 moo.
All right, hitting the sauce a little early today. All right, Daniel, tell me, what's the deal? Let's switch topics real quick, and I know Scott will have something to say on this, but I was reading today that HP they had their fire sale to dump all their tablets, and I guess you've got something to say about the tablets, but also, what do you think? Apparently, they're going to make another run of them. This is like those Oriental rug stores you see in the mall, and they're you see them advertised in the newspaper. They're having a perpetual going out of business sale year after year, or they move from place to place, always going out of business. Incredible deals when really they're not. Is this a scam? Is HP scamming us?
I don't know. I don't. From if you look at it from a business standpoint, if they were to continue making the tablets again, I don't think the only reason people are buying it right now is because they've dropped the price, right? It's $100, but it cost them I think it cost them like $300 to make a tablet or something like that. I've read. So if they continue making the tablet again, I don't see it wise for them to continue pricing it at $100. But if they continue making the tablets again, only to get rid of the inventory, like all the parts that they have, and get rid of it that way, and take a loss still, and then stop making it after they've used up all the parts. I see that working.
What do you think, Scott? What do you think, Scott?
I don't think it was any kind of scam. I think that they made a mistake as far as and yeah, what we said about the price. I'd read that it cost them somewhere around between $250 and up to make those devices. So then when they dropped them down to $90 to $150, they're losing money on every device they sell. And then now they've maybe realized that, oh wow, we could sell these, and maybe they'll. I think that their biggest mistake was trying to go up against Apple and Google with the web their OS on that tablet. I think that was the biggest mistake. I think people were just
well, that was their only thing that was unique. They thought that would be a big hit. They bought WebOS, right? They didn't make it.
Oh, from Palm, right?
Yeah, when they bought Palm. Boy, there's a company that took a nosedive. I used to have a
well,
Trio.
Palm also, yeah.
Buey, what? I guess you can put Android on these tablets.
Yeah, they have Android now. The Cyanogen Mod 7 is out for it.
Is this something Joe Sixpack could do, or is this something that some techno geek like you, for example, could do.
If you can flash your phone and install a custom ROM, you can install a ROM on the HP touchpad. It's the same thing. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing.
Wasn't the hardware the issue though? I think that someone did a test, but someone else said this wasn't a fair test. That they did a test.
No.
And
I think the hardware was originally meant for Android or something. It's like let me try and find that article. Give me 1 second.
I think that that the iPhone was twice as fast running. That they ran WebOS on an iPad, and that it ran twice as fast. Do you remember that story, Scott?
I don't think it should be. I mean, I believe the HP is a dual core. Am I correct in that? Saying that?
Yeah, when they ran that test, that was they left out quite a few pieces of the WebOS stuff that would have slowed it down. So that wasn't a very fair or unbiased test. I read quite a bit about that.
Okay. So you go ahead, Scott.
That tablet, as far as flashing it and so forth, I mean, it would take like Buey said, like a nerd level 1 or so to do it. The hard part was the people actually creating the ROMs, because there were a few hardware issues they had to deal with, but they got through that and created the ROMs that then a nerd level 2 could go ahead and install.
Oh,
okay.
They've installed Ubuntu on it as well. Cool.
Well, that's I guess I'm not sure what the future of WebOS is. I'm not sure how long they're going to keep building these things. They're certainly not going to make up in volume a $200 per unit loss. But I guess the more of these devices that go out there, the more demand there is for apps, and the more valuable WebOS is. So maybe if you guys are suggesting they're using up their remaining inventory, and a lot of these supplies and things that were in the pipeline, in the process that were being made, they're probably contractually obligated to buy X amount of processors and X amount of cases, etc. And that by shutting it down, that doesn't relieve them of the obligation to keep buying all the spare parts that they were already obligated to buy and accept delivery for on whatever schedule. So if they can throw them together, they might have lost $150 if they might have lost $200 if they didn't build it, or they'll lose $300 if they build it, but they'll get $100 in revenue. So maybe it's a wash. Who knows? Just for the limited number that they can build with the remaining inventory. Go ahead, Daniel.
If they start making it again and start selling it again, just to use up all these spare parts that they have, I can see them recovering some of their money back. Because right now, excuse me, there's a big demand on the tab. The ability to install Android on it, people are going to want it more, right? So if they make it again and release it again, they would be able to up the price, and let's say they mark up the price. People are still going to buy it now because there's been so much promotion and I see them making some of their money back. I see it be a good choice business-wise.
All right. Any final thoughts, Scott, on anything going on?
Well, the guy in the chat room named Micro Patrol is mentioning that HP has decided to bow out of consumer hardware, so it might be moot, and they might just be getting rid of, I don't know, who knows? They keep changing their direction. If I were them, I would put it out for about $500 with Android installed on it, and I think at that point it could compete, and they would still make money off of each unit. But whatever, I don't know. I'm starting to think HP has some. I mean, I've heard a few people even call HP's leadership lately retarded, not just because of this little thing, but also like buying Palm and other recent decisions. I've also heard that the U.S. Air Force has decided to buy a whole, and this is pure rumor, I have no idea, it's not verified, that they decided to buy a whole bunch of go with HP for their computers, which was kind of, I don't like to hear that because I know that Dell is competing for that contract, and Dell is they're here in Austin.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know, the big problem for HP, even if they tried to sell the rest, like what you're saying, put Android on them and sell them for $500, is to get real estate in the stores, because the store, I know, because like our newspapers, we're in stores, and it's really hard to get those spots. In some cases, you got to pay for them, and it's really expensive real estate for the store to give up so many square inches for a product or square feet. And if they're not moving, they're not going to do it. That's why, like, you see Sprint balking, or some of the carriers were balking at some of these new BlackBerry phones. They said, we're not going to move them because we don't want to deal with something that's not going to move X amount of volume. So I think, I don't know. It looks like they don't know what they're doing. Buey?
Huh?
Yeah, I just needed you to say something. Your phone's overtaking our audio. Any final thoughts, Daniel, about anything going on?
No, but you look very good. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Thanks.
On that topic of tablets, I do want to mention something if there's time.
Yeah, sure.
So I read an article in Ars Technica, this tech website, about Microsoft, and how it was about 20 years ago that they came out with the first tablet computer. And it ran Windows, I think 3.1 or 3.0, and it kind of sucked. It was, used a stylus and whatever. Okay, so now Microsoft is recognizing what's going on here with tablets, and their goal right now with Windows 8, which is coming next year, is to put out a tablet computer, which that's different than like what we've got now with these tablets, like the iPad and so forth, are these, as you guys know, these very limited machines that will run apps but not really software, not really, like they wouldn't run Office or Photoshop, for example. Now Microsoft wants to change that by coming out with a tablet that is as powerful as our laptops, and at the same time has the ease of use, the thin form factor, the lightness, and the battery life of a tablet. So I think that's going to be something to look out for. Given that the way things are moving towards portability and more power within these smaller things.
Okay, that's I think they're neat devices. I think that if they were $100, that you'd see them all over the place. It's not new, the old Star Trek had them. And there have been other tablet-sized devices. I guess they were PDAs or what have you back in the day. But the Steve Jobs in his genius just said, this is something we can do, and we can get it real popular. And I think they've sold like 30 million of them or something crazy. And I don't know, but they're just overpriced not for the iPad. The iPad's priced fine because it's viewed as the market leader. It's the best one. It's the most quality device out there. Maybe not in the iPhone. They have some competition, but on the pads, it's just, if the price were the same, I wouldn't buy anything. I would buy an iPad. Why? I mean, if I'm going to spend $500 and I can get an iPad or get a knockoff, I'd rather get the iPad.
Actually, Dan, and I know this is my Google bias showing up, but if you look at and I know specs aren't everything, but that's somewhere to start. If you look at the specs of the Galaxy Tab 10.1 and compare it to the iPad 2, the Galaxy Tab comes in about, I think, for the highest end model, comes in $50 less than the iPad 2, and beats it in almost every spec. So then all you've got as far as comparison is iOS versus Android OS, which is a lot more open. And nowadays the app stores are pretty comparable. And then you've actually got some USB ports and an HDMI port and so forth coming out of your Galaxy Tab, so you can plug it right into your TV or whatever. So from my perspective, and again, I'll admit I'm biased, from my perspective, if I were, and I don't want a tab device, not quite yet. I'm with you as far as I want the price to come down and the power to come up. But if I were to buy one right now, if I was going to advise a friend, I'd say, hey, go get the Galaxy Tab, or even this new Toshiba pad. I mean, they're 6 months ago, I would have said, well, the iPad 2 is the better thing, but not now. Android has caught up fast, and now they're passing Apple. And until the iPad 3 comes out, let's see.
Yeah, we'll see. And what happens? I think it's the early adopters who are paying these prices. I remember the 8088 was about $3,000, something like that, like $3,000. And now computers, I mean, vastly superior, are way cheaper. I don't know if you could buy. I mean, I guess it'd be tough for you to find a souped-up system that was $3,000. You know, the super game 50-pound liquid-cooled i7 Extreme is like $2,000. And I don't know if you could find a computer for $3,000. I guess you could. I'm sure Buey could get enough accessories on it to bring it up to $3,000. But my goodness, that's the prices just go down and down. And but these early adopters that want it, and a lot of it is the sex appeal of that Apple logo. You know, some folks would rather. I mean, do you want Sears written on your shirt or Nike? You know, some folks care about that stuff. I did when I was a kid. You know, I wanted Nike shoes. You know, because the cool kids had them. But if the price is the same, most people are going to get an iPad. And if the price is, so if I were producing a knockoff, I would price it a lot cheaper and try to build it a lot cheaper. And I think if it was in Walmart and it was $100 or $90, $89.99 or something, I think you'd sell 50 million of them. Instead of,
you're making a point that these guys that are trying to compete with Apple need to drop their prices some, because they're not recognizing the value in Apple's popularity.
Yeah, I mean, Apple did it. You know, it's like when the Atari ST or the Atari 2600 came out. Like, you're old enough to remember that, I think.
Oh yeah.
You could buy the Sears one, or you could buy the one with the Atari logo. Which one would you want your little buddies to see? You'd want the Atari one, not the Sears one. And it was the exact same machine made by the same company, right? But I told my parents for Christmas that I want the one that says Atari, not the one that says Sears. And I mean, it's stupid. It doesn't matter. But you know, I was a little kid, and that's what I wanted. And so I think that if you're producing a knockoff, if you're, you know, there was the genuine Rubik's Cube. And then there were other cubes by different names. A billion of them came out everywhere, and they were cheaper. But the Rubik's Cube was viewed as the best, and it was the original one. You know, get the real one. You know, and there's that mentality and that perception. And Apple does not have that. They have a history, I think, of putting out products that are not as. If you're a tech geek, you can't do as much with them. But they're really easy to use, and they have a wonderful user experience, and people have a genuine affinity for Apple the same way they do Google, I think. And if you're trying to compete with them with the also-ran product in the eye of Joe Consumer, I think the price has to be significantly less. And I think it was extraordinarily arrogant for HP to think that they could sell a product that wasn't as fast as the iPad, had a fraction of the number of apps available for it for the same price. That's stupid. And you get what you know, they know better. They should know better. They should know better. I think you have to question their corporate governance at this point. This is a huge disaster, in my humble opinion. But anyway. So there. We're having a good down with HP. Buey just abandoned us at some point. I think he's
in the chat room now.
Is he? He's like a I don't know. He just pops up. I was gonna make some worm, and I couldn't remember the kind of worm that will just pop up somewhere. You get in the Amazon, but he just appears. But anyway, yeah, I see some good debate going on in the chat room, so I think I'm going to join you guys there. Thank you so much for again. Emily was supposed to be here, but she was here, and then we thought it would be about an hour later, but she had to go to the hospital to meet a friend, which is totally cool. So I want to thank Scott Swain. I'll have his URL in the description, a reference to him on my Google Plus page. Scott Swain, thanks for coming at the last minute and helping me pull the show out of our hat. And Buey over in Vancouver, Canada, he's the noisy one. And we thank you very much for helping us out. I'm Dan McDermott. I'll be back tomorrow night with a slightly more prepared for our topics than we were tonight. But I appreciate you watching or listening, and I'll be back tomorrow night live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, midnight GMT with another McDermott Report. Thanks.